Guys, we're back with another tier list. For some reason I keep doing these, but we'll move on to what the video is about. It's, as you can tell here, it's going to be the Skyrim cities. Now this one's going to be a really short one because I ain't got that much time, and if you hear any background noise I do apologise. It's because my dog's in the same room as me. He's a bit scared at the moment for some reason, but enough about him, let's move on to the video. So we have the worst to best here. Let me just change that to worst actually, so we can really understand which one's the worst. So I'm going to start obviously at the bottom, then we'll go to the top and I'll explain my reasons, try to at least, because some of them are going to be a bit difficult to explain. So if I do switch them around thinking this one's better than the other, that's the reason why. Now the logos here are a bit fucked, but if I can clearly see this one's Solitude, Whiterun, that's Markarth, Morfell, or Morfall, sorry, Riften, Windhelm, I think that's Dawnstar, Falkreath, that's Winterhold, okay. The worst city, in my opinion, in Skyrim, is out of two of them. It's either Dawnstar or it's Winterhold, and Winterhold is going to take the worst. Now, I know there is some good quests in Winterhold, such as obviously you got the College of Winterhold, which at the same time I don't know if that one's really a good quest line in my opinion. You could complete it with a sword and they'll give you the Archmage of Winterhold, which is something I don't find very useful for this sort of, well, if you're playing as a melee character, and I do that more than I've played as a mage. But yeah, Winterhold's 9th. The Great Fall of Winterhold happened ages ago, 4th era, probably about 100 years in, so about 80 years ago it happened in the Elder Scrolls lore, and the city has not been rebuilt since, which is why it sits in the worst place to be. Not a very good place, is it? So yeah, if Winterhold was rebuilt, if it had more buildings and structures to go around it, I would definitely have put this one higher, because the think the one that's carrying this city is the College of Winterhold. 8th, as we probably know, is Dawnstar, because of what I mentioned earlier. Dawnstar, once again, it's a very boring city. It doesn't have too much quest to it. It has a few Daedric ones, such as Mehrunes quest. It does have the museum with the Mythic Dawn, which is something that just popped into my head now. The only thing that it sort of has is the Dark Brotherhood's new location to it, and it's just quite boring to be honest. It would be 9th, but Winterhold just has been dead for 80 years, so that's the reason why Winterhold's at the bottom. But Dawnstar, not much to it, and yeah, it's just boring to be honest. I don't see much that can happen. Of course, these both of these are the Stormcloaks. That's who they're held by, which kind of represents the situation Skyrim's in. Well, where the Stormcloaks are, they haven't really been given anything to build with, just by looking at that. Next up is not going to be a Stormcloak held area. It's going to be Markarth. Or, I don't know actually, Morfall's also quite a terrible place. Yeah, I think Markarth will go 6th and Morfall will go 7th. Now, Morfall is just, once again, the same as Dawnstar, not much to it. There's a small quest that happens for the Jarl, and about, instead of people sleeping all the time, this time it's about a house burnt down, ghost child, vampires are part of it, but they live amongst everyone in Morfall. There's obviously Thalion. He's a great NPC talk to, especially if you want to cure your lycanthropy, such as like being a werewolf or a vampire. Obviously, the Black Soul Gem for that. Once again, with Morphal, it doesn't really have a lot of great structures to it. The environment of it is also in a swamp. It's not like a swampy sort of area. Yeah, this is why I think it takes 7th. Because I was going to put Markarth there, but then I remembered Morphal is a thing. So that's when we move on to Markarth. Markarth is also, once again, not a city with a great amount of quests. Unlike Windhelm, where it does have a lot of main quests sort of going to this city, Markarth doesn't really have that. There's a part in the Thieves Guild, obviously, where you have to go to Markarth for a brief shorter time. There's not much that you really need to go to it for. Not a great city overall. I know it's built off Dwemer ruins, which is why it's probably more higher, because it gives off sort of an ancient vibe. It makes you curious to, well, if anything, makes the people there curious to what the Dwemer were like, which I'm pretty sure we all were curious, to be honest, about the Dwemer, which Bethesda have not yet released many information about their disappearance, but there has been hints. But enough about that. Markarth it's got great structures. It's a great city, very fortified, built off Dwemer ruins, but 6th is going to be where it stays. In 5th place, we have Windhelm. Windhelm is not a great city. It's run by the leader of the Stormcloaks, Ulfric, challenging to be the High King. It's just, once again, not many great quests in there. Obviously, you can start the Dark Brotherhood from Windhelm, but then again, no other quests sort of need you to go to Windhelm there. It's quite a dull city. It's all just made of pure stone brick by looking at it. Obviously controlled by the Nords. It's a very racist city as well, actually. Don't like the Dark Elves and Argonians that live there. But it sits 5th, which is still a pretty good place. I'm not saying racism will sit 5th, just before anyone takes that out of context. But yeah, at least it's fortified. It's got a good palace, and they've got someone leading a rebellion as their leader. Okay, now we're moving on to the top 4. Obviously, we have 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and then obviously the best. And we're left with the cities that I think are pretty nice. But 4th will go to Falkreath. Falkreath is usually a city that is never really high up in people's tier lists. They're usually down at the bottom, ranked worst to best. But Falkreath is pretty good in my opinion. I like how it's built in a forest. Sort of gives off like a small town vibe, which it does. There's no big fortified walls. There's no doorway you have to go through. It's quite open. Everyone there has obviously got lumberjack jobs and stuff like that. It has interesting, well, not an interesting quest line. The quest lines are still a bit boring when it comes to Falkreath, which is probably why it's not ranked higher. I guess I just like cities in a forest because I think it's quite a nice environmental place. But enough about how it's surrounded by a forest. The quest lines is obviously the one about the werewolf. Daedric quest, Hercene, I think it is. There's small quests you can do that don't take longer than a minute or two. I'm pretty sure it's controlled by the Stormcloaks. I can't remember, or unless it's because I have seen Stormcloak. Actually, no, it's the Imperials, isn't it? I don't know. It's somewhere in the middle. It's just underneath Whiterun, which sort of confuses me, since Whiterun's not occupied by either of them. But yeah, fourth. Third out of the remaining cities will be Riften. Riften, once again, a city everyone will put down here, but it has a lot of, as obviously the Thieves Guild. The Thieves Guild was quite a good quest line in my opinion. Not only is it that, it's basically a town full of crime. The crime rates it really shows, and it likes to interpret the crime rates in the city. Obviously, it's fortified. It has a door. Even the guards will try take money off you, as when the first time you enter Riften, you find out about Brynjolf's little scheme that happened. Yeah, Riften third. It's still a good city. Mistfield Keep is a nice palace. It's obviously home to Maven Blackbriar as well. Riften, one of the most well-known names in Skyrim. Yeah, third place it is for Riften. Now it's between these two, Solitude and Whiterun. Now both of them are great cities, really great cities. Whiterun being the first one you enter in. I remember the first time I entered Whiterun, I was astonished by how much better it was compared. Well, at the time it was the first ever city I went into, so I didn't know about the other cities. But it just astonished me how much detail was into Whiterun. And the same goes with Solitude. Solitude has a lot of detail. They're both very fortified. Both have a lot of farms. Obviously, Solitude's near the shore, so they have docks and stuff like that that sort of give them more materials to increase their city. But second place will have to go to Solitude, because who will beat Whiterun when Whiterun is like the OG city? It's like the great city everyone first experiences. But let's just do Solitude first. Solitude's still a good city. It's got a lot of quest lines in it. The main quest lines also sort of go to Solitude a lot. The new Saints and Seducers one is the ending of the quest in there. There's Jari in the Thieves Guild. Gulamai, sorry. Jari's the other guy. In the Thieves Guild. There's obviously Elisif, the High Queen. It's home to the High Queen. It's the capital of Skyrim as well, which used to be the one that's actually coincidentally at the bottom, Winterhold. But yeah, Solitude is second best to Whiterun. Whiterun is the best city in the game, in my opinion. Everyone else can obviously debate this. They can think, like, let's just say, I don't know, Solitude is the best, or Whiterun's third best, or whatever you want to, whatever. But Whiterun to me is the best, in my opinion. I really like Whiterun. It's just such a great city. It's the home of many, many quest lines. So many quest lines go there. Thieves Guild once again goes there. The main quest line itself, the Dragonborn, well, not Dragonborn, that's Mirak. The main quest line, as in Alduin, is there. A lot of it is involved. We'll obviously have Jarl Bolgruff as the leader of the city. He's kind of stupid, but you sort of grow to like him. But yeah, that's the tier list made. If you do disagree with some of these, then please do let me know, because obviously this is just my opinion. You guys have your own opinion, and I would love to hear yours. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribing is very much appreciated, and giving the video a like is also appreciated. And leave a comment down what I should do next, because I don't know, I just keep making tier lists, and I enjoy them. I enjoy making tier lists, but I do want to make other content, which is something I am currently planning, well, kind of working on. So yeah, that's all, and see you all in the next one.